Humans of the cardboard, quick little discussion for us today. We are probably creeping up on our Wild Survivor first reveals. All we really have is artwork so far for them. That's the next deck build pack for the Yu-Gi-Oh! I guess OCG technically for deck build pack, but then we'll get them in our own, build deck set a couple months later. But I always get really excited for these. And you know what? Looking at Konami's more recent history, they've kind of been nailing the deck build packs. Like, honestly, they kind of realize, like, hey, if we're going to build a pack that is pretty much, as far as, like, chaseability, what anybody buying this set is really hoping for, the decks have to be respectable. And they've honestly been more than that as of late. If you go all the way back through the quick little history here, Grand Creators at the beginning of 2022, at least for the TCG, Adventure Engine, like one of the most played engines in a competitive scene ever, really. Exorcister, once they finally got their support cards of like Malfa, the trap card in Magnifica, boom, won a YCS, like a really respectable rogue deck. And then Punk was just straight up one of the best decks in the game. It got the Chaos Dragon banned. 3 bangers, like literally 3 for 3. Then we moved to this the other one we got in 2022, which was Tactical Masters. This one, you start with Runic. Very competitively relevant as soon as it came out. I mean, look at Master Duel now. It's literally like tearing up Master Duel. But I still think it's really good. We kind of just need to see Tyr get a hit because it really hates the Ishizu Shufflers, the engine. But that's a win, 4 for 4. Labyrinth right now is like the 3rd best deck in the OCG. We're going to get their next support card in Photon Hypernova in like less than a month, and I think that deck takes another step forward. It's a really good trap deck. It's probably the best trap deck in the game. It's kind of like more modern day Eldritch, except it's like more fun to play against, I would say, just because Eldritch is so like floodgate oriented most of the time. Like, this deck does not play floodgates. It plays like a bunch of interactions, and I think that makes it more tolerable to play against for most players. But yeah, still a win there, like very competitively relevant. And then Valence, you could argue Valence is the only like whiff here out of all the 9 archetypes. No, 6 so far, 6 in 2022. That like hasn't really done a ton. It did just get a regional top, which is very interesting. I actually want to dig more into that list myself in my own time, but that's pretty interesting. But I'd say this may be the only one that you could argue is like a whiff. So if you want to call it 5 out of 6, just because Valence really hasn't done enough, kind of clunky, kind of feels like it doesn't have a great win condition, fine. That if you have to play bricks in the main deck, all that stuff, I get it. But that would be maybe the only whiff from 2022. Then you move to 2023, the first deck build pack of the year is Amazing Defenders. We start with Rescue Ace. Unfortunately, Rescue Ace misses the mark for sure, and we already have their next set support, and it is not that helpful to them, really. We're really hoping that the next core set brings like a really, really, really powerful support, 1 or 2 cards for them, because they really need it the most. They kind of got dogged in the next wave of support because Mikanko and Pirelli got like really nice support cards. This archetype did not, and this one arguably needed it the most. So this would be the second whiff, so I would still call it 5 out of 7. Then we have Mikanko, appears to either be a really interesting like going second strategy if you play it pure, or a really cool engine that you can combine with a couple of things. I think the main leaders would be what is it called? Infernal Knight and Libromancer. Kind of depends where you want to go, but they both look at least like respectable rogue decks, so I will count that for sure. I would count that as 6 out of 8. And then Pirelli, when they get their new support cards in the next set, post Amazing Defenders, they really are a really interesting deck. Their whole deck is just like filled with emergency teleports. That's really good for extension. They have a really insane boss monster. I really respect this deck, and I hope they round it out nicely. It feels like it's so close, but it's maybe like 1 or 2 cards away from being like legit. So I'll count that one as well. 7 out of 9 archetypes, though, I would say have been like really, really solid in the last 3 deck build packs in the last year and a half. And that's really good. So here's where we end up, right? We end up with our 3 new archetypes. Transcendrick, the new dinosaur archetype. Vanquish Soul, a new attribute archetype. And Nouvelles, a brand new ritual archetype. Now, the descriptions really don't help us all too much, to be honest. as far as like where we actually end up with these archetypes, really. I mean, because what do these even say? It says large-scale dinosaurs that appear on the field using different kinds of summoning methods. So, you know, Link, Synchro, Exceed. Very curious where we end up. I almost like, I don't know. We'll see where it ends up. Like, the one thing with Transcendrick more than anything, as far as my expectations, is it doesn't need to be that good. If it's like a core engine that is like solid, that could be enough, because dinosaurs already have so many powerful support cards. Fossil Dig at 3. Oviraptor. If the deck doesn't have a must-play normal summon that's like better for them than Oviraptor, you probably just play Oviraptor. Miscellaneous Source is probably a must. UCT as an alternate main deck win condition that's just already there for us if we want him for the main deck, right? And even Double Evolution Pill as well, as a way to just like summon out any main deck boss monster, or really any main deck monster, period, straight out of the deck. Like, those 4 things specifically, so insane. There's also like the extra deck rank 4s that if this deck happens to be, it says different kinds of summoning methods. Like, what if that means you have it's a deck full of level 4 dinos, so that way they can make rank 4s, or they can make Synchro 8s, because some of them would be tuners, right? I could easily see that being the case. If that is, then like obviously dinosaurs are in a phenomenal place, because they already have 2 really powerful Exceed monsters. And this engine would presumably help them, you know, spurt those out with more consistency. So I'm very curious to see where this archetype goes. This one to me has the most potential just because of the setup with what dinosaur cards we already have. In fact, I think this one could be the one that gets like Fossil Dig limited, but we'll see. Then we have Vanquish Soul. This one is the most generic. It says fighters that release their special attack power using the power of attributes. I have no idea what that means. It kind of makes me think of stuff like Plunder Patrol, in that they are like, they kind of need to match the right attribute to what your opponent has to kind of get out the right monsters. Hopefully it's not as dependent as Plunder Patrol, because as we've seen, there's certain formats where Plunder gets way worse because just the better decks in the game don't have the best attributes for their plays. But maybe it's something where, you know, you kind of have floodgatey effects where if your opponent controls the same attribute as one of your Vanquish Souls, it's negated. It's banished when it leaves the field. Whatever it is, that could be pretty cool. But other than that, there's like no real sign of anything here. The artwork on this first monster looks insane, but other than that, I have no idea what to expect from this one. And then Nouvelles being a ritual archetype, very, very interesting. I really am sitting here hoping that this kind of, I mean, I don't know, like, I hope it's good enough, right? Because we've seen ritual decks actually be respectable in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! They have a lot of really good support cards, kind of like dinosaurs, whether it's Rite of Preparation of Rites, whether it's you know, these supporting engines, potentially Libromancer, potentially Mikanko. If this is, I think this is going to be Fiend based. I think it's already confirmed to be Fiend based, but you know, as an engine card, maybe Ben 10, right? Drytron even, you know, and I know Drytron's kind of dependent on the Ishizu Shufflers and the Bestials being in the format, which can kind of brutalize them, but we'll see on that. There's also the Manjus, the Senjus, all those other, you know, generic just ritual support cards, even Magician Souls as another one as well, that are kind of all coming around. And so there's a lot going on for this archetype. I just hope maybe they're just like, you know what, Drytron kind of just got like X'd out of the game. I don't know when the next time we won't have Bestials or Ishizu Shufflers in the format, because those are like really what decimate Drytron the most. Maybe they're just making a ritual archetype that is not susceptible to those things like Drytron is. That would be ideal. Hopefully they have a really strong ritual spell or mechanic that allows them to kind of work around doing a straight up ritual summon, because it kind of is a -2 generally. But that'll be kind of what we look out for. So that's pretty much it. I just want to do a quick little discussion, because I do think probably in the next maybe week or two we should be getting our first official like release for one of these 3 archetypes. No idea where they'll start, but yeah, I'm really excited. I want to just go over it one more time and just kind of remind you guys that Konami's been pretty hot as of late. I would say 7 out of the 9 last deck build pack archetypes have all ended up being like at least meta adjacent. You know what I mean? Like tier 2 solid, like really strong rogue deck at the worst for 7 out of the 9 of them, and that's a really good place to be for these. So you know, I'm almost expecting at least 2 out of the 3 of these to be on that level, and I can't wait to see the reveal. So there you go, just kind of a last second. Here we go. Hopefully we get reveals soon, and kind of just setting you up expectation wise for where we end up with the deck build packs. Let me know your thoughts down below. Which one of these are you most excited for? Which one do you think is most likely to be the dud if you had to guess? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one. Peace.